On Saturday, what was supposed to be a fun birthday celebration for this family turned into a tragedy and turned this nature center into a crime scene after a freak accident on the Neuse River claimed the life of 16-year-old Jaylen Green.
This boy here is 16 years old, Jaylen Green from Kinston, North Carolina. On July 19, 2025, during a family visit to Neuseway Nature Park, he quietly walked away. A few steps down a path toward the Neuse River, he never returned. In a town where weekends at the park are routine, his disappearance sent shockwaves. No words, no messages, no cries for help, only silence, broken by the sound of rushing water. Police were called immediately. Search teams swept the trails. Drones scanned the skies. Boats patrolled the riverbanks. Through the night, agencies and volunteers searched every corner. And then, the next day, the river gave its answer. So how does a teenager vanish in plain sight? Why do stories like this repeat for families of autistic children? And what could have been done to prevent it? This is the story of a boy who walked toward the river and never came back.
The Neuse River is extremely dangerous, especially this section right here. It's going to bend right in there, and that's where it picks up steam. This is a total accident. This is a freak accident where somebody just happens to walk away. There was nothing intentional with this, with the family goes, and we were just trying to help them out.
Jaylen Green was 16 years old. He had autism. He was nonverbal. He communicated in his own quiet ways, through gestures, expressions, and routines his family knew by heart. On July 19th, his family took him to Neuseway Nature Park in Kinston, North Carolina. A familiar place, a walking trail shaded by trees, the steady hum of cicadas in the background. For Jaylen, it was calm, predictable, safe. The path stretched only a short distance from the parking lot to the banks of the Neuse River. No fences, no gates, just open access to moving water. A risk many families of autistic children know all too well. In those last normal minutes, Jaylen stayed close, within sight of his family. A short walk, a routine outing, nothing unusual. And then, without warning, he drifted just a few steps ahead. At MCO on the park clock, he's with family. Within minutes, he isn't. Time gar. It happened in seconds. Jaylen moved just a little further down the trail. A brief lapse. His family's eyes shifted. A moment of distraction. And when they looked back, he was gone. They called his name over and over. But Jaylen was nonverbal. He couldn't respond. He couldn't call back. The silence on that trail grew heavier with each passing second. His family searched the immediate area. The benches, the picnic tables, the playground. Nothing. The riverbank just ahead now carried more weight. Panic turned into action. A phone was pulled out. A call was made. The words rushed out. My son is missing. He has autism. He can't speak. We need help. The first call starts the clock. Time gar. The phone connected. The dispatcher answered. 911. What's your emergency? The family's voice was rushed, shaking. My son is missing. He's 16. He has autism. He's nonverbal. We last saw him at Neuseway Nature Park, near the river. He was wearing a blue t-shirt and black shorts. Please, we can't find him. The dispatcher repeated the details back, clear and precise. 16-year-old male, autistic, nonverbal, blue shirt, black shorts. Last seen near the river at Neuseway Nature Park. Units are being dispatched now. Search turns coordinated. The first patrol units arrived within minutes. Flashing lights cut through the trees at the park entrance. Officers spread quickly, setting a perimeter around the footpaths and the riverbank. The last known point was logged, the spot where Jaylen had last been seen walking down the trail. Officers marked it, knowing every search would start from here. Requests went out for cameras. Any surveillance from the park pavilion, nearby buildings or traffic poles that could provide a lead. On the radio came the directive, establish command at the pavilion. All units check in. With that, the search shifted, from a missing teen to an endangered one. And that classification triggers more resources. From after polls, the TrueCrimeDocumentary retraces the Jaylen Nature. The Jaylen classified as endangered. Alerts spread fast. A bolo went out across Lenoir County. 16-year-old male, autistic, nonverbal, last seen at Neuseway Nature Park. A drone was requested to scan from above. A K-9 team was placed on standby, waiting for a sent article from the family. Detectives pulled the family aside. Quick questions, sharp focus. Has he ever wandered before? Is he drawn to certain places? Water, lights, trails where he likes to stim or pace. The answers pointed back to one risk. Always the water. Daylight is fading. Water becomes the focus. Time chums of flashlights cut through the tall reeds at the river's edge. Officers searched for any sign, footprints, broken grass, disturbed mud, but the ground was soft, uneven, and the prints were unclear. The safety officer stepped in, assigning river spotters along the bank, each one spaced apart, watching the dark water, listening for anything unusual. On the radio came the order, "Hold that bank, no one goes alone." Teams held their line, scanning every ripple. For now, they still hope Jaylen was on a path somewhere in the park, and not in the river. They still hope he's on a path, not in the river. Time chums a half. Word spread quickly. Parkgoers, neighbors, even park staff were pulled aside and briefed. Phone trees lit up across Kinston. Friends calling friends, asking for flashlights, asking for help. Volunteers arrived and were assigned to loops around the trails. Each group was told to move quietly, to keep noise low in case Jaylen was nearby and frightened. More eyes now scanned the woods and the riverbank, and with the manpower building, investigators moved to chase the first real lead cameras. With more eyes, they chased the first real lead cameras. Time split off to check every available camera. The park's pavilion, nearby buildings, even traffic poles along Caswell Street, any lens that might have caught a glimpse of Jaylen. Technicians began the timeline. Footage was requested, hard drives checked, and every timestamp had to be synced to the exact minute of the call. But pulling and reviewing video takes time, and while investigators worked frame by frame, the ground search had to keep moving. While video is pulled, ground search goes to grid. Time dose. As night settled over the park, the search shifted into a grid. The grounds were divided into sectors, A through D. Each team was given a checklist. Trees, trails, shelters, riverbank sweeps, and every movement logged by radio. Overhead, a drone launched on a thermal flight path, scanning along the waterline for any trace of heat. Its camera streamed back to the command post, each sweep narrowing the possibilities. But sector by sector, trail by trail, nothing new appeared. Thermal shows nothing clear yet. Inside the pavilion, one officer was assigned solely to Jaylen's family. His role was clear: reduce the chaos, keep communication steady, and make sure every update reached them directly. He asked for personal items, Jaylen's shirt, his shoes, anything with a strong scent, to prepare the K9 team. Each step was documented, sealed and handed to handlers on standby. The family was promised regular updates. Every 30 minutes, no matter the progress, someone would return with news. The K9 is ready. But the river wind complicates scent. The K9 team moved onto the trail with Jaylen's scent locked in. The dog ran loops around the picnic area, then down the main path. For a moment the trail was strong. Then it faded near the open spaces close to the river. The handler paused, watching the dog circle and strain. He noted the wind. It had shifted, blowing from the water inland, scattering the scent and making direction harder to read. Still, the pattern was clear. Every pass pulled them closer to the waterline. Pattern points to water. They need video to confirm. At the command post, the first usable footage came in. A park security camera near the pavilion captured Jaylen walking calmly, alone, down the path. No signs of distress, no one following. The timestamp was locked, minutes after the family's last sighting. He was heading directly toward the Neuse River. The image gave confirmation and urgency. Now they narrowed the search to entry points. With the video confirmed, search teams moved directly to the riverbank. They marked the most probable entry point, a slope where the ground dipped sharply into the water. The area was cordoned off. Safety officers ordered rope lines set along the bank. No one was allowed to wade in. Currents were too strong, visibility too poor. Only trained divers would be cleared to enter. Every move now shifted from search to potential recovery. Dive ops requested, sonar requested. Time. By nightfall, the search expanded into a full multi-agency operation. The sheriff's office, fire department, EMS, dive teams and drone operators all reported to the pavilion command post. An operations chart was drawn out, grids mapped directly onto the water, every sector assigned, every sweep logged. Experts calculated current speed, projecting how far the river could have carried someone in the time since Jaylen was last seen. Currents don't wait. Currents change the timeline. Downstream becomes critical. Before divers entered, the command post called for a river brief. Hydrology basics were laid out for every team on scene. The news carried hidden dangers, floating debris, swirling eddies, submerged snags that could trap even experienced swimmers. A sonar boat was launched to scan beneath the surface. Along the banks, spotters were positioned at intervals, eyes fixed on the dark water. The message was clear. The river could hide anything, and it would take discipline to find answers. They will search through the night. Through the night, sonar swept the river in slow arcs, each ping searching for shapes below the surface. Overhead, a drone carried a thermal camera, tracing the waterline for any trace of heat. Floodlights lit the banks, pushing back the darkness as spotters scanned every ripple, every shadow. On the radio came the steady reminder: maintain spacing, log anomalies. Teams rotated, but the river gave nothing back. Hours pass. Morning will bring divers. At first light, fresh teams rotated in. Visibility improved. The river, dark and uncertain overnight, was clearer under the morning sun. With daylight came a reset of morale. Crews sharpened their focus, reviewing assignments and updating maps. The family was briefed again. Every resource, they were told, was now concentrated on the river. The search was no longer wide. It was targeted. Divers kit up. Time come take you in the pie. Command called for a dive safety brief. Depth and current were measured. Tether rules were set. Every diver would remain clipped to a line, guided from the surface. Rotation cycles were timed to prevent fatigue. Medical staff stood by on the bank, prepared for emergencies. Teams were divided. One group assigned to recon, to sweep and map. The other prepared for recovery, should contact be made. Water entry. The first divers entered the Neuse River just after 1 p.m., guided by tether lines. They began in a wide arc, then shifted into line sweeps across the current. Each pass was deliberate, each movement logged from the surface. On the banks, spotters tracked every bubble, every marker buoy, dropped to mark cleared ground. The process was slow, but precise. Nothing left unchecked. Then from the sonar boat, a call broke through, a solid return beneath the surface. Sonar calls a target. On the sonar screen, a solid return appeared. The shape was fixed near a submerged structure, just off the riverbank. Operators circled the spot, confirming it from multiple angles. The call came across the radio. Mark buoy at target 1. A bright marker dropped into the current, holding its place above the signal. Divers surfaced, regrouped, and received new instructions. The search was shifting. They would re-enter, not with a search mindset, but a recovery one. Divers re-enter with a recovery mindset. The divers dropped beneath the surface again. Lines steady, movements controlled. Every kick brought them closer to the marked buoy. From above, the radios went quiet. No chatter, only silence, as the team advanced on the sonar target. Then, after long minutes, a hushed voice broke through. "We have contact." On the bank, heads lowered. The search was about to turn into confirmation. Command prepares for identification and protocol. Once contact was confirmed, protocol moved quickly. The coroner was notified. The area along the riverbank was secured. The family liaison stepped aside to prepare for the most difficult update of all. Every word chosen carefully, every step timed with compassion. At the command post, the chain of custody was logged. Photographs, diver reports, recovery notes, each detail documented to preserve accuracy. In moments like these, precision matters. Facts come first. Rumors must be controlled. Facts first. Rumors controlled. Time bullet. Officials stepped before the cameras. The media was briefed. A body had been recovered from the Neuse River. At first the name was withheld until the family received confirmation. Then it was released. 16-year-old Jaylen Green. Reporters delivered the timeline in clear terms. Last seen at the park. Search through the night. Video showing him near the water. The recovery just downstream. What's known, what isn't. For the public, the facts were now official. The uncertainty had ended, replaced by grief. The community reacts. Time, died evening. The community gathered with candles in hand. Small flames lit the night, as neighbors, classmates and church members stood together in silence. At Jaylen's school, notes were left on lockers. At his church, a prayer list carried his name. Simple tributes, flowers, photos, handwritten cards, appeared at the park where he was last seen. A GoFundMe was posted to help the family with funeral costs. Messages of support filled the page within hours. But as the morning deepened, grief slowly turned to questions. Grief becomes questions. For families of children with autism, one risk is constant, wandering, also known as elopement. Many are drawn to water, the movement, the reflections, the calm it seems to offer. But water also carries the highest danger. Clear statistics show it. Drowning is the leading cause of death in wandering incidents involving children with autism. And yet, at parks across the country, rivers and lakes remain wide open. No barriers, no safeguards, only risk. If we know this, why are parks still open to the river? Time dawning. At Neuseway Nature Park, the risks were visible. No barriers at the river's edge. Limited warning signs. Camera coverage that left blind spots along the bank. Yet prevention doesn't always require high cost. Low-tech fixes are proven to work. Rails that slow access, fencing at steep drop-offs, textured ground at the edge to signal danger, and simple visual cues that draw attention before a step is taken too far. These are measures many parks still haven't adopted. Tech can help too. Some communities use tracking programs to prevent tragedies like this. Voluntary wearables, bracelets or anklets can trigger geo-alerts when a child wanders. Rapid find programs link families to law enforcement, cutting response time from hours to minutes. But adoption has been uneven. Many families never hear about these options. Others face cost barriers, or discover their county isn't enrolled at all. The result, gaps where the need is greatest. Training saves minutes. Prevention doesn't rest on families alone. Park staff can be trained with simple scripts: what to ask, where to look, and how to guide first responders. Families can build pre-plans, noting favorite routes, sensory triggers, and known risks. For police, endangered missing protocols already exist. The most effective can be summarized on one page. 3 actions: call immediately, contain the area, and confirm the last point seen. When everyone knows their role, response time shrinks. Policies make the fixes stick. Barriers at high-risk water edges. Camera coverage that eliminates blind spots. Warning signage where families can't miss it. Regular drills for park staff and first responders. Partnerships with tracking programs to make wearables available. And clear family liaison standards, so communication never breaks down. These aren't ideas for later. They are actions that can start now. Community can move this faster. 3L change doesn't wait for headlines. It begins with community action. Viewers can petition local leaders for barriers at riverbanks. Attend council meetings where safety budgets are set. Fund tracking devices for families who can't afford them. Volunteer for search teams that respond when minutes matter. Even sponsor park upgrades, rails, signs and cameras that protect lives. Every action counts. Every effort reduces the risk. Bring it back to Jaylen. His name must lead to change. Let's walk the timeline again. Minute by minute. A brief separation on the trail. A desperate call to 911. The first patrol unit setting a perimeter. Search teams spreading through the night. Video confirming Jaylen moving toward the river. The focus narrowing to a single entry point. Devarves entering the water. And finally the recovery. Each moment connected. Each decision shaping the next. The chain of events is clear. Now the unanswered. Could barriers at the river's edge have stopped Jaylen from reaching the water? Could staff training have changed the response in those first critical minutes? Could a tracking device or faster access to surveillance video have shifted the outcome? And what is the timeline for fixes, not only at this park, but at every high-risk site across the state? These are the questions left behind. Close with purpose. Jaylen Green's story cannot end at the river. It must continue at city halls, park boards, and family tables. His name should be the reason new protections are built, new training is adopted, and new families are spared this kind of loss. Barrier the water. Train the staff. Equip the families. In memory of Jaylen Green 2009-2025. For safety resources and local action, see the links below.